Another nice thing we can do with MATLAB is you can actually change the scaling here. So I can go in here and I can say axis, and then I can define my scale going from 0 to 11, and then 0 to 200. Okay. If I do that and I run this figure here and this code, you'll note that now I'm going from 0 to 11 on the x-axis, and then 0 to 200 on the y-axis. Okay, so how did it look like before? So let me just show you before how it looked like before it just started, where the data started. Okay, so if you want to look side by side, I can do another one. You can do another figure, just go and do another figure here. Instead of close all, I'm just going to type the word figure here. Okay, and I'm going to run this again with the scaling, with the axis scaling. Okay, so I have figure 2, and then if I run it again, let me Control R and run it with just without the. Okay, so let me see. So we got figure 1, figure 2. Okay, so figure 1, figure 2. Actually, I made a mistake. Let me close one of them. Let me run it with the figure. Okay, so this is figure 2, and then let me come down and get figure 1. Okay, so this is the difference. If you do the axis scaling, you can scale the axis as you want. You can zoom in, zoom out. So that's a nice thing that MATLAB allows you to control. And then, of course, other things you can do is you can add legends and text boxes and labels. So let's go ahead and do that to this for this figure. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and comment that out. Okay, and then just come down here, and I'm going to add a legend. All I gotta do is type legend, and now I can just give it some arbitrary names. I'm just gonna say line 1, comma, line 2, and then line 3. And there's some arbitrary names, of course. When you have real data, you'd have more applicable naming conventions. I can use this text function to define where I want to potentially put a text label on my graph. So I'm going to say location 100 based on my data. And I'm just going to say, this is going to say label plots with the text command. So you can put anything you want in here, and then we'll see when we run that. And then we can do our X label, of course. My X label, okay, comma, Y label, my Y label, okay, and then we can do title, example graph with details or something like that. Okay, whatever you want to call it. And you could actually use double quotes or single quotes. I like to use single quotes. It's just what I'm used to. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to run this whole thing again. Okay, so now you see if I maximize this, I have the 3 figures, the 3 data lines here, and I put my label at location 1 here, up 100. So that's when I start typing this stuff here. And of course, I can go in here and make these lines thicker, and I can make my x-axis bolder. You can do a lot of things with this data. So one way to do that, I can come in here, I can click on this guy, double click, do some interactive changes on here once this guy pops up, and then I can change my line width to 1. Okay, enter. Maybe I'll make it 4, enter. You see how that changes my line style. I can change my line style, that's fine. The X marker, I can make it 12, enter. So you can maximize that. I can do the same thing for this guy as well. So you can change the markers, and of course it updates my legend up here. I can do the same thing for my x-axis, double click on that and update accordingly. Okay, so I'm just going to minimize this for now. I can change my x-axis. Right now my font size is 10. I can make it 20, and you see everything gets bigger. I'm going to maximize this, everything gets bigger. So you want to make sure that they're legible. So you can play around with this some more, and of course you can do this all in the command line here. If you do a help plot, it'll give you a lot more details on how to do all that. So if you just type help plot, it'll give you a lot more information on how you can customize your plot with line width and colors and marker size, and that's essentially what I just did here. So you can like run this whole thing if you wanted to, and it'll actually give you so let me do figure on my command line to open up another figure, and then I'm gonna just run this guy here. Okay, and now I gotta find my figure that I just ran. So this is what that figure does for you. Okay, so you can play around with that. Okay, so a couple of things you can do when you do that. There's a bunch of other plotting functions I'll introduce, but X label, Y label, axis, title, legend, hold. We've already discussed those. Next, I'll talk about subplots.